Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@the1916company.com for purchase, pricing, and availability questions concerning this watch. And this watch is a Rolex Certified Pre-Owned Oyster Perpetual Cosmograph Daytona. We're looking at a 875,000 range A-series watch from approximately 1999. It is a 16523 in two-tone, and I believe that these represent the best value and the last genuine opportunity among the Zenith-powered Daytonas of the late 80s and 90s. So this is a watch that has a lot to offer, including an all-time great movement, an all-time great design, and outstanding condition. It's also universally wearable. 40 millimeters in diameter and a combination of 904L stainless steel and yellow gold. I measure the watch at 12.3 millimeters thick. This is the solid end link era of Daytona bracelets, though you can see we still have hollow center links. And the lug-to-lug dimension of the case is 46.9 if we're just including the case. If we include the solid end links, then it's 50.4 millimeters across the wrist with a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. My one concession to gloveless hands during these videos is the wrist shot, because it can be difficult to see my wrist when the glove is on the hand. The fit's superb. Long considered a power watch for both him and for her, the Daytona of this generation has a smaller fit and feel than some of the larger 40 millimeter sports watches, especially the 6 digits that came after. So you can wear this on a wrist as small as 13.5 centimeters circumference, and I've seen it done. The watch is comfortable, and you can see it's also very flat. So if you want to wear it as a dress timepiece, it'll easily slide under a cuff. If you look over the top, which always exaggerates the width of the watch, you can see the lugs are still inboard of the edge of my 16 centimeter circumference wrist. Okay, the glove goes back on, and we're back. The timepiece features a bracelet in outstanding condition. Take a quick look at everything that we have to offer. You can see this is 78393. The clasp, stamped in this era, but it still featured the straight through yellow gold on the steel. We have several degrees of adjustment, several drillings inside the clasp, allowing you to use your spring bar to dismount the bracelet and change its anchoring point to fine-tune the fit. We also have removable links, which are fixed by screws, and you can see one of the interesting design choices made. The individual links have an inherent curvature on an individual basis, so the appearance on the wrist is both more comfortable and appears more organic and less contorted. You can see we've got quite a few removable links to find the right size. The condition of the bracelet is excellent. These all have that little Rolex rattle of the hollow center link era, but once you're familiar with those bracelets, you can tell the difference between one that's very fresh and one that's a bit haggard and worn. This one is very fresh. The tolerances are tight. The fit is outstanding, and the feel is premium. Also, there's a distinct nostalgia to these hollow centerlink Rolex watches, and there's something timeless about this design, because I have to say that from the introduction of the 40 millimeter automatic winding Daytona in 1988, if you look at any other Rolex model line since then, GMTs, the subs, the Sea Dwellers, even the Day-Dates and the Datejusts, they have changed more than this original 1988 to present design, which, aside from a relocation of chronograph registers and the transition to the ceramic bezels, the eventual arrival of solid center links, there's very little to tell between this roughly 1999 example and the one you can put on your wrist today. When you get design right, there is no need to change. It's a feather in the cap of great design that it is consistent. Think Porsche 911, but even more so, because this has changed less than that. It just worked. So some of those changes that arrived in 1988, all in combination: automatic winding with a movement based on the Zenith El Primero, universal sapphire crystals, metal tachymetric scale bezels, screw-down crowns, and all of these features in combination with a 40 millimeter case define what a modern Daytona looks like. Of course, back in the late 80s, Rolex was still working on the long-term project to build its own automatic chronograph calibers, so they went to the best, Zenith, and they brought in the El Primero. And as Rolex almost always did in the era when it used customer calibers, it made a lot of changes. So there was a room at zenith in Le Loc, where the Daytona movements were made separate from the rest of the El Primeros. Underneath this solid case back, protected down to 100 meters, we have Rolex caliber 4030. Still 31 jewels, still automatic winding with a 50 to 52 hour power reserve, but Rolex changed the beat rate down to 4 hertz to make it even more durable. There was never a durability issue with the El Primero, but Rolex is always more cautious than cautious, and that was the idea there. Also important, Rolex changed the overcoil, well, they changed to an overcoil hairspring from a flat hairspring on the standard El Primero, so a hand-formed Breguet overcoil so that it would breathe concentrically in any physical orientation, and thus allow operation that was very isochronous through the different gyrations of life on the wrist or on your dresser, but also through 5-position adjustment and testing through the 2-week Swiss COSC chronometer certification, because all of the Rolex 4030s were chronometer certified and most El Primeros back then were not. In addition, you have the free-sprung regulator, which is a Rolex innovation on the El Primero architecture. So the adjustment's done using Rolex's variable inertia microstella screws on the balance. So all told, Rolex removed the date mechanism, or most of it anyway, changed the beat rate, added a free-sprung regulator, 5-position adjustment and chronometer certification, an overcoil hairspring, and though you can't see it, Rolex also extensively overhauled the winding system, which has a lot of fiddly little springs in raw El Primero form. Rolex refitted the automatic system, its perpetual system, using the Teflon-coated bidirectional reversing wheels that you would note on a conventional 3135, for example. So they also overhauled the winding system to make it more efficient and also more durable. The movement is a column wheel lateral clutch chronograph, which is different from the subsequent 4130. Column wheel feel remains exemplary, as column wheel is what the El Primero features, but it is a lateral clutch, so from time to time you'll note there's a little bit of a jump to the chronograph seconds hand when you activate it. The dial is a lovely piece, and of course by this point we are into the era of Luminova, and I will demonstrate that now. And so you can see that this watch, based on its serial number, would have been an original Luminova watch, so all fair and correct. The hands, as well as the indices, are yellow golds. They will not tarnish or oxidize over time. You have that lovely Daytona script on a black gloss lacquer base with this lovely sort of azurage pattern, very, very subtle concentric patterns on the sub-registers, which have a nice yellow gold matte tone to them. A very appealing watch, and as I said, one of the last real opportunities in the 5-digit Daytona space. These watches are still more accessible than, for example, the steel models or the solid gold models, or something like the white gold on a strap or with a sodalite dial. And I always feel that, you know, on a leather strap you can dress this down a little bit, or you can dress it up. You could put it on a black strap that's a textile or rubber and get a more spare and stripped down look, or you can put it on alligator and make it much more formal. But it's a very versatile watch, and people overlook that because they often can't see past the two-tone bracelet. But you don't always have to wear it on the bracelet. There's flexibility that can change the character of this watch, and perhaps, just perhaps, make a 1990s two-tone Rolex Daytona your new best friend. Reach out to Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.
Rolex Certified Pre-Owned watches are backed and authenticated by Rolex. Should any reconditioning be necessary, it will be to a Rolex Certified standard, and any parts invested Rolex Factory Original. Should the initial retail box, paper, and accessory set still accompany the watch, it will be included with the sale. But no matter what, a Certified Pre-Owned box and paper set starts with an outer box, a leatherette travel pouch with suede lining, a warranty card that embodies the 2-year globally valid Rolex-backed warranty. Note, this is not a retail warranty, but backed by Rolex and actionable at any of its authorized points of sales and service. A leatherette wallet includes the warranty terms and conditions manual. A holographic hang tag marks this as a certified pre-owned Rolex watch, and a manual details Rolex's values as a company, the certified pre-owned program, care, feeding, service, and use of your Rolex, locations of points of sales and service, and details of Rolex.com. Rolex certified pre-owned watches are backed only by Rolex.